Hello chess friends and welcome to your Zone of Chess channel and welcome back to the FIDE World Rapid Championship in 2023. So we're following now the most important game of this chess event. It's an amazing gameplay by Vladimir Fedoseev against Magnus Carlsen. Vladimir, I think, played an awesome, really brilliant, beautiful chess tournament. He was also the leader for many rounds of this beautiful chess event, but the Magnus Carlsen, of course, wanted to get his 16th title in the World Chess Championship. So let's see now what happened, in my opinion. And this was simply the game of the tournament. And of course, at the end of the video, we're going to see the standings, the final standings of the FIDE World Rapid Chess Championship in 2023. So let's see now the game with the white pieces. Magnus opened with the move d4. Vladimir's response was knight to f6. We have c4, e6, knight to c3, and after bishop to b4, we have the amazing Nimzo-Indian Defense. So knight to f3, 3 Knights Variation. Magnus goes immediately with bishop takes c3, doubles the pawn structure, and creates, of course, structural weaknesses here on c4, but also on c3. Double pawns, of course, clear targets from black's perspective. Now comes d6. When you give up the bishop for a knight in an early stage of the game, then usually you want to secure the squares that the bishop covers. So now it's very important to create a blocking system on dark squares, playing e5, c5. You want to, of course, have now a nice grip on dark squares with your pawns. Queen to c2. Here we have queen to e7 by Magnus Carlsen. Here Vladimir is, of course, preparing now to move e4, and now Vladimir goes into a certain theoretical novelty with a4, but main lines that have been played in chess history were the moves e4, but also the move bishop to g5. a4 is a little bit risky because this pawn is also becoming now a weakness. You can play a4, but then I think your main strategic plan should be to push the pawn further with a5, a6, even if possible, to somehow split the pawn structure here on the queen side to create further weaknesses on this side of the board. Here we have c5 by Magnus. As promised, as I said, now Magnus is trying to fix somehow his dark squares because he gave up the bishop for a knight. We have e4 and now e5. Solid structure now by Magnus, keeps now everything compact in the center of the board. Now comes d5. I would say this position is still pretty much equal, although white has the space advantage, white has the powerful center, but the position is really blocked out. This position is really static in the center of the board, and knights love really static positions because the knights are flexible pieces that will always find good squares on the board. The bishops are not so dangerous, especially the light square bishop I don't like, which is really paralyzed by its own pawn structure. So that's why I would say that's really now an equal position. Spaces, of course, are in white's favor. Knight from b to d7, and now comes, I would say, the first critical moment of the game. Here Vladimir plays h4, and this structure to keep both sides so lifted, I think it's not so good here by Vladimir. He should simply continue with his plan, a5. As I said, when the knight leaves the protection of the a6 square, now you can even push it further and create maybe some weaknesses here and attack the queen side, because black will not, I think, push the pawns too much here, because black wants to keep the position compact, wants to keep the position somehow static, fixed, immobile, sort of, with the knights on the board. So that's why with the move a5, I think here Magnus Carlsen would be already many positional problems. But here after move h4, Magnus continues with h6. Vladimir plays now bishop to e2. We have king to d8, a brilliant move by Magnus Carlsen. But when you think about it harder, this move is really necessary, because castling king side here would be, I think, very dangerous because of some attacking chances by white. White would then attack with g4, maybe g5 here would simply make further progress. And even if you try somehow, maybe with, let's go back, with the move b6, bishop to b7, and queen side castle, then it's, of course, a suicide. Then a5 is coming, and then position is collapsing on this side of the board. So keeping the king in the center in such a blocked pawn structure is, I think, perfectly fine. You see that Vladimir Fedoseev will also not castle, so the structure in the center is fixed. Nothing can open the center of the board, so that's why king to d8, perfectly fine move here by Magnus. Knight to d2, preventing knight to h5, knight to f4 here by Magnus. King to c7, and now again Vladimir had the chance to play the move a5. a5 was really a necessary attacking move with the preparation, maybe even to push the pawn on a6. But Vladimir again is searching for opportunities on this side of the board. Magnus plays now g6. also a tiny little inaccuracy by Magnus, because Magnus actually should have played here the move a5 himself, preventing here Vladimir. But here after move g6, again Vladimir is not playing here the move a5, and now finally Magnus fixes the structure here on the queen side and has now really a solid position. This position is, I think, pretty equal, so nothing wrong now also for black, nothing wrong also here for white. But now Vladimir makes a new mistake in the game. h5, not a good move. Magnus takes. We have knight to b6. Knight is now attacking both of these weak pawns. You see how Vladimir had many times the opportunity to fix the structure with the move a5 himself. Now when Magnus played the move a5, it's not possible. Knight to g3, searching for the f5 score. Bishop to d7, knight to f5 is not so dangerous, because I think here we'll give up simply the bishop for a knight, and now after something like rook to g8, you control the g file, and if necessary, if something gets attacked here on the b file, you can always get your knight back here to d7 and keep the position also on the queen side compact. So that's why here we have queen to b3 by Vladimir, knight to e8. Here Magnus maybe should have simply played queen to e8. This would be much more dangerous, because the a4 pawn is a clear target. It's a clear pawn weakness in white's position. But Magnus rerouted the knight to e8, and after a couple more moves, knight to g7 again, I think, leads into an equal position. So here Magnus now, after move king to d2 by Vladimir Fedoseev, you see, as I said, the structure is blocked out in the pawn structure, blocked out in the center of the board, so nothing can be opened here in the center, so keeping the kings in the center is perfectly fine. But now Magnus goes all in with the move f5. That's the only flexible and attacking move that you can play. Vladimir played e takes f5, we have knight to f5, rook from a to b1, maybe not the optimal move here also by Vladimir, maybe takes, and then to control the g file was more important here. You see now how important it was maybe to play like this, because Magnus will take over now on the g file, because after rook from a to b1 that Vladimir played, Magnus goes with rook to a6, of course protects the b6 knight, but the attack here on the b file is not so dangerous. Actually the g file, that's now the only really open file, and Magnus will simply get it, because here after move knight to f5, bishop to f5, the rook has to step back, and now here with queen to g7, Magnus takes out now, he takes over here, and from this point on, I think here again black should be much better. So here queen to d1 by Vladimir, we have rook to g8. Of course Magnus keeps the pressure on the g file, king to c1, queen to h7, and now Magnus is rerouting the knight. Good move here, searches for new opportunities for the flexible piece for the beautiful knight, because as I said, the position is still really static, and that's why the knight comes here really good way into the game. Rook to b2, knight to f6, we have rook to g1, rook takes g1, queen to g1, and now Magnus is again searching for opportunities to attack the g file. We have f4. Not again the optimal move here by Vladimir, maybe queen to d1, searching maybe even for something like rook to d2, bishop to d3, maybe trading off the pieces. But here after move f4, Magnus of course first attacks the queen after queen to h2. Now he plays a brilliant e4. This move is paralyzing further the bishops. The bishop is now, the bishop on e3 is blocked out now by its own pawn, and this bishop was bad through the whole game. It's simply paralyzed by its own pawn structure here. So we have the rook to b1, queen to d7, and now Magnus goes with bishop to g4. We have bishop to c2, and now after queen to f5, we have king to the b2. Magnus now finally grabs the pawn, and from this point on, I think game becomes really a one-way ticket here in black's favor. So let's go back. Instead of this move bishop to c2, you could of course try bishop to g4, trading off the knights, but the problem is now the queen is overloaded. You could maybe protect the bishop here on e2, but also the pawn on a4 is hanging. So again, I think a messed up game here for Vladimir Fedoseev. So that's why for bishop to g4, Vladimir tried to keep the bishops on the board. Queen to f5, king to b2, bishop to h5, but now Magnus is grabbing another pawn. So you see how strange it was by Vladimir to push both of these pawns on the a file, but also on the h file. Rook to e1, Magnus fixes the structure on dark squares. b6 keeps everything compact here. King to b3, rook to g6, and now rook is coming more actively into the game. Rook to g3 attacks now the bishop here. This really, I think, really messed up game here for white. Queen to h4, Magnus attacks the queen drops back, bishop to f3. With every move, Magnus keeps now the attacking flow. Every other move now is simply a beautiful attacking move. Here white is simply on the defensive side. Rook to g1, knight to g4. You see, very easy, very nice attacking moves here by Magnus Carlsen. He doesn't have to even calculate so much now. The h-pawn is also something that worries now white in the position. Bishop to c1, rook to h2, queen to g3, bishop to e2, rook to e1. Here we have bishop to c4. Nice move here by Magnus, deflecting the king from the defense of this one. And here the knight is sent really on an active square. It's much better than the bishop here on c1. We have queen to h4. Beautiful move now by Magnus. King to d7, not allowing here the queen to come somehow into the game, maybe delivering some annoying checks. Bishop to e3. Let's see how bad this bishop is, blocked out by its own structure. We have rook to g2, queen to h1, rook to g3. Magnus goes for this pawn. Here Vladimir has to defend this, and now a beautiful move again. Rook to d3. Here by Magnus forces the trades of rooks. The king has to now step back to b5, and now after queen to d5, here it's really game over. Even if you take here the queen, then of course, after queen to d5, here we can simply take. Now you can push the pawn, but the position is simply too stretched for the bishop. This one is marching. This one is also very dangerous. So black is up many pawns, so it's game over again here for white. So here after move queen to d5, Vladimir tried to keep the queens on the board, but now Magnus goes with king to c7, c4, check here by Magnus Carlsen, and after b5, in this particular position, Vladimir Fedoseev resigned. So what should you do? Of course, you can only move this one, but then after queen to b6, again, it's a beautiful checkmate. So with this win, Magnus Carlsen, I think, had a clear situation. And of course, Magnus Carlsen won the FIDE World Rapid Chess Championship in 2023. I wanted to show you really how important this game was, because Vladimir Fedoseev actually finished on the second place with 9.5 points, only half of the point behind Magnus Carlsen, although he lost this game that we have now followed. Yu Yangyi on the third place, I think, really incredible result. Also Vidit, congrats to him, fourth place also with 9 points. Volodar Murzin also, Maxim Vashilograf with this result. Danil Dubov always good in faster time formats. Ramesh Babu Pragananda, incredible also result, 9 points out of possible 13 points. So really a beautiful tournament we have seen. Nodirik Abdul Satorov, Alexander Grishuk also really beautiful performance by all of this amazing chess players. So congratulations to Magnus Carlsen. Really incredible tournament he played without losing any games, and look how strange it is. Magnus Carlsen didn't lose any games, but he gained only 4 rating points. And that's the issue when you have such a high rating, when you have more rating points than the others. So Magnus is a really different animal, as someone mentioned also in this beautiful chess tournament, but we're not going to analyze some I would say some problems about this tournament. Magnus Carlsen is of course the deserved winner of the FIDE World Rapid Chess Championship, and this is now his 16th World Chess Championship title. Incredible. This is simply GOAT performance. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Really amazing static position that Magnus Carlsen created. Really, he knows how to play with the knights, as I also mentioned already in our analysis so far. Magnus simply loves this position where the knights are better than the bishops, and he's playing this types of position really in good way. So really instructive game, although this is a fast time format chess game. So congratulations to Magnus again. If you want to see some other content here on my YouTube chess channel, you can follow our competent chess games, but also our competent chess games played by computers. Here are the links of our playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.